the Shattered Isles, fractured by Aether and the depredations of savage behemoths feeding on its power. Against their endless hunger stand the Slayers, our last hope.
What's up, my peeps? Ooh, we are the last hope. As most of you know, the open beta for Dauntless launched on the 24th. The initial couple days went, let's just say it's a good thing it's a free-to-play game, otherwise a lot of people would be asking for a refund. I didn't have the chance to try to get into it on the 24th. However, I tried jumping in on the 25th at around 9 a.m. and was greeted with a message saying that I was over 90,000 in queue with a wait time of 60 plus minutes. That's right, 90,000. Yeah, I left it on and went about my day, and was then greeted by a server maintenance message around 6 p.m. Keep in mind, I still hadn't actually gotten into the game. I retried on the 26th and was finally able to get in. I got through the cutscenes and the tutorial, and then the game crashed. Had to redo the cutscene and tutorial and all that fun stuff. Suffice it to say, they seem to have overestimated the strength of their servers and how many people would be trying to jump into the game. Now, on the 27th, they seem to have straightened things out quite well. The game does have some slight performance issues. My wife was playing on her computer and commented on some of the tiny frame skips, but other than that, it was somewhat smooth. Now that you have the backstory, let's jump into the actual gameplay and check out Dauntless and what it's all about. As this is supposed to be a first impression, we'll fast forward the character creation. This way, those that are interested in the features and how customizable it is will still get a quick preview, and it'll still allow us to jump directly into the game itself. One thing I will say that I do appreciate for the character creation, all features are open to both genders. By that I mean the male characters can wear the same makeup that the female characters can, and the female characters can have mustaches and beards all they want. I know there are quite a few games that do limit those choices and when it comes to that respect, and I think it's pretty cool that you are just allowed to do whatever you want here. Alright, we'll have a look at the cutscene, and then let's get down to business. We're gonna defeat the behemoths. Yeah, behemoth.
Nice of you to join us. Take your position, Rook. Listen up. I don't train failures. It's not worth my time. And time is not on our side. There are more behemoths turning up on the frontier every day. And like it or not, you lot are all that stands between them and the good people of Ramsgate. The people who pay me to make sure you know your axe from a pole in the ground.
Hold fast back there, people. There's a bit of turbulence.
Today's the day you prove you can all be let off the leash. I'm not going to be waiting for you at the drop zone, in case things go wrong. Today you prove you're not just recruits, you're slayers.
Cat? Recruit, this is the bosun. We can't get to you right now. That storm didn't just blast the hull. It also drained our power. We have to make field repairs and refill the aether traps if we're going to get back to Ramsgate. That's where you come in. We spotted a rogue Nasher on your island. And that rogue should contain more than enough aether to power the ship for our return journey. And listen, if you need advice, don't hesitate to call. I'll keep the radio on for you.
And we're in that fall, man. Ouch. I'm surprised dude's back isn't broken. The first time I saw that, I was like, whoa. Alright, so we start moving, and one to heal up. Yep. If you haven't seen the graphics for this as yet, I had a few people look at it, and the first thing that came was, that looks like Fortnite. I mean, they're not wrong, but I do like it. It's a timeless thing. It won't age. Your movement's a little on the slow side. Keep that in mind. It's not as fast as I expected for an action combat. Oh, and dodge roll. So this has an iframe in it, an invincibility frame. So when you're attacking the behemoths, if they charge at you or if they do a special attack, you can dodge out of it or dodge into them, and you won't be taking any damage even though you're colliding with them. Alright, so we found our behemoth. That's actually still pretty cool looking. No targeting, so you can't tab target to the behemoth. There's no cursor to point block on. Basically wherever you're looking, that's where you're going to be hitting. And as I'm doing damage to him, he decides to run away. Fantastic. See, if I tried to run, I'd end up getting a fail. So I don't think that's really fair. Is this breakable? Okay, so in the previous game, or previous times that I've tried the game, monsters would actually do damage to the terrain. Like if they charged at you or if they did a move, it would hit the terrain and break stuff. That's why I was just checking if we can actually break things as well. And the gathering. I love the fact that you can just keep running while you're gathering. I don't think anybody would have stopped or would have cared to if you had to stop to gather these items. That's the general thing in games, is if you're gathering, you stop and you start picking or pickaxing or whatever the case is, whatever it is you're gathering. But the fact that you can just continue running while you're grabbing them, that's amazing. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with all these flowers, but they're definitely mine now. Okay, part 2. Let's do this. And we have a little healing depot. So not only do you have our potions, we have this healing depot that's I'm assuming is going to be in all the maps. And if you are downed, your allies can come and revive you. I also want to point out that there's no, or at least I don't see to have any animation canceling when I dodge roll if I'm in the middle of an attack. Basically what that means is if you're swinging your sword and the monster tries to attack, you complete that swing. You're not going to be able to just dodge out of it. It kind of adds a little bit of strategy to the game, which is a good thing. Like I mentioned before, the action is a little bit on the slower side, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. You have to pay attention to the behemoth's movements and try to read whether they're going to attack or whether they're just staggering or whatnot.
Instruments are going crazy, and I'm seeing a massive ether spike on that island. Just send up a flare so we can home in on your exact position. Nice work. We'll be able to refill the ether traps and get ourselves back to Ramsgate in no time. Should be seeing the city any minute now. On an approach course to Ramsgate. fresh Ramsgate air, eh? But don't spend too much time enjoying it. Cat needs every Slayer to get back in the fight as soon as they're able. And you've proven you're up to the task. Everyone in Ramsgate is looking for her to coordinate the response to this behemoth surge. And that doesn't leave any of us a lot of downtime. She's already gone ahead to the plaza. So meet her there as soon as you can. Off you go then. And keep that chin up. You'll be a full-fledged Slayer in no time.
Okay, first thing, quest marker in the compass at the top, E to talk, shift to sprint. I kind of like this way of doing the quest markers. You legitimately have to go find the individuals, but the reason this is okay is because it's not in an extremely populated and massive town. If this were in a huge city like some other MMOs, this would not work. Additionally, there are only a few quests at once, so you don't have to worry about there being 15 exclamation marks on top of each other. You can't use your skills while in this area, fair enough, but it would have been nice to have the dash to help get around a little faster. So, like I said before, I did get the chance to play the game, and I decided this time I wanted to use the chain blades. I've always liked ranged attacks, ranged skills, weapons, and these allow me to get a little bit of that. I believe I heard somewhere that they are planning on adding a ranged weapon, but this will do for now. Side note, crafting in this game is really easy. Let's check them out. These bad boys be looking mighty fine. These guys also, they kind of run funny, the animation. I'm guessing it's from the huge cojones that you have to be fighting behemoths like these. This would be where we jump into our hunts, hence it's marked by the little claw mark in the compass up top. And let's go check out what we have for quests. Yeah, that is the map. Let's see, potion crafting is also a part of the game. And that's where the flowers that we picked up come in handy. It's good to be a hoarder. Queuing up requests. So while we're waiting for our teammates and our own character to load properly, we can equip items or potions that we may have forgotten. That isn't a really nice touch. So let's say you just jump into a quest hunt really quickly and you forgot to add a potion or you forgot to equip a new piece of armor. You can do that while you're waiting for everyone else to load. I do like this aspect. It's something that most other games should think about adding. Now, if you guys have noticed, it seems like the rest of the skins are all the exact same. Everybody's bald, everybody looks the same has the same face. Now, in previous games, I have had people load with me with different armors that they've gotten from killing the behemoths and stuff. So I'm assuming if you don't have a unique, well, not unique, but if you haven't upgraded your armors yet, then this is the look that you're going to have on other people's screens, which is kind of funny. And now we're going to jump into our first actual behemoth fight with a full party and everything like that. This one, don't remember the name of him, but as you can tell, he's an owl bird looking thing. One thing I do want to point out is I'm really happy that with each unique behemoth that you fight, they have attacks and moves matching their design. So this one's an owl. As you can tell, he leaps into the air, slams down. He uses a bunch of wind attacks like that tornado, like the air blast that he throws at you. It's a really cool feature to show that they've put thought into each behemoth. It's not just a rinse and repeat type of deal with these guys. Don't get me wrong, you're still grinding the same behemoths over and over again, but at least the ones that they have for now are still unique in their own way. So once you've got the pace of the combat down, the rhythm, it does get better. I've noticed that even in this fight, I've got it a little bit better than the initial tutorial where it felt slow and sluggish. Now that I've got the pacing down a little bit better, I can move around, I can focus my attacks a little. Now there's two different colored numbers popping up, green and yellow. From what I remember, the green numbers are supposed to be the actual health of the behemoth, and the yellow numbers are supposed to be the damage done towards breaking the different parts of the behemoth. I guess think of it along the lines of different health bars. When you attack the legs, tails, and head, you can break them and get crafting items. Once they're broken, you'll be doing straight damage to the behemoth's health. However, before that, you're doing damage to break the part you're attacking and its health at the same time. And here is this behemoth flying away, as like a bird would. So we now chase after it again, and we'll jump into the part where we find him and start attacking. I guess I'm not the only one that likes range attacks. I'm sure you would have figured out by now, but essentially you're supposed to figure out the skills the behemoths use and read their body language to know when to dodge. As they lose parts of the body, I believe their attacks change, which is another really cool aspect of the game. And I do want to add that the fight is lasting a lot longer than I expected. I know it can be 5 minutes, that's a little bit ridiculous, but it could be that I'm not doing my optimum DPS rotations and screwing everyone over, but they're being nice and not saying anything. Or it could be the fact that they want this fight to be epic. And I mean, you're fighting a giant monster. You kind of have that feeling. You don't know when it's going to die. You don't know exactly how much damage. There's no health bar, right? You're basically fighting for your life while trying to exterminate this thing. Um, I think that's again another aspect of the Monster Hunter games that most people who do enjoy them like about them. And there we go. Finally. Phew. And there's a ranking system. So we got S plus, like a boss, gold all the way through. So we're rated on how much damage we do, how little damage we take, whether we broke parts of the behemoth, and the fact that we didn't need to be revived. I'm sure there are more as we go through the game. Like I said, players can be down, so I'm sure you'd get one for rezzing your teammate. Since this is relatively early into the game, I guess this is what we have for now. Rating the matches is also a nice touch, shows that the team at Dauntless are actively looking for feedback, and you are still allowed to loot items after this whole scene's done, which means if you forgot to pick up a part where you broke off of the behemoth, you're still allowed to run up and grab it. You're not going to be missing out on anything, and you can jump off the edge. I was curious, so I decided to test it. Um, in other matches, I accidentally jumped off the edge, and it basically just spawns you back on the map again. You don't take any actual damage or anything like that. Now, before this video goes on forever, I'll have some of the other behemoth fights going on in the background while we talk about the pros and cons we've experienced so far. So, pros. Combat pacing. Initially it felt slow, but after having played a little longer, it fits well with the game. It takes essentially one or two fights to get used to it, but once you get the hang of the rhythm, like we talked about earlier, it does feel like each swing that you have fits with the weapon, and it gives weight to the actions that you're taking. Next up, the behemoth design. I've seen a few of the behemoths, definitely not all of them, and I do think they've given each their own unique skills for their design. The owl shooting the air blasts and the tornado, the spiky boy shooting its quills and laying on its side then shoving off at you. I like the fact that they've taken care for the few monsters that they do have in the game. They've given them each unique designs, skills catering to their actual look. Outfit designs. I enjoy the fact that when we craft new outfits and weapons, the look actually changes and matches that of the behemoth that the armor and weapon is crafted from. So the reason you're killing these behemoths is to get their hide and other items to craft better and better gear for yourself. Finally, the graphics. So this is more of a personal deal. Generally, I like pretty graphics. This is one of those styles that I enjoy as well because it ages really well. I mean, think about WildStar. If you jump into that game right now, you're not going to be like, oh my goodness, this game looks really, really old. Whereas something like RuneScape or Neverwinter Nights, those definitely don't age as well. Even WoW. I mean, don't get me wrong, the gameplay is there, but it doesn't look as appealing. This style of graphics won't get old. And now the cons. You can't skip the loading cutscenes. It's pretty nice the first time, 10 times you see it, but the fact that we can't skip these eventually gets a little annoying. I'd rather, honestly, at some point just have the loading screen. Outfit changes. I would have preferred if they went that extra mile and added some sort of effect to the armor or weapon that have been upgraded. So the +1, +2, if they had like a little glow or maybe just a little bit of small minor detail change. Behemoths, up until where I stopped for now, are rather easy to skill. You can think of dodging as a bonus. You don't really have to. I know later in game it becomes probably a necessity because those guys are a lot stronger. But for the first 10 hours of the game that I played, it's pretty much a tank and spank. You have the potions, you have those ether rifts thingy that you can heal from, you have your allies resing you. You don't really need to dodge, which slightly takes away from the gameplay a little. Finally, if you're not a fan of this style of game, it will get really repetitive for you. You essentially are killing a behemoth, getting the mats, going back to town, crafting or upgrading your weapons and armor, and then you repeat that. That's essentially what this type of game is. Think Vindictus, Dragon's Nest, Dungeon Fighter, those types of games. And while I do realize this is a preferential thing, these guys at Dauntless are going to have to be coming out with a lot of content very quickly, otherwise their player base are going to get bored very fast. And now we have the final thoughts. For those that enjoy the Monster Hunter type of games, this free-to-play version is a pretty decent alternative. There are quite a few folks saying that the actual Monster Hunter games have so much more monsters. Yeah, how long has that game been out for? The series has been out for decades. This one's a little on the new side, like really new. Give it time. Remember, this is open beta. There are going to be some bugs, there's limited gameplay comparatively, but more than enough to keep you entertained for a little while. Dauntless looks very promising. As they expand, they'll have to consider adding more features, of course, but for now it's a fun game. You can play it as a button masher, or you can play it with strategy in mind. Either way works, which in itself is a success. If you think about some MMOs that have bragged about wanting to play it your own way or anything like that, but then there ends up being the best rotation and the best gear and everything like that, it doesn't really end up being a play it your own way type of game. This one, you can. I do feel that if you give the game a fair try, you'll enjoy yourself. Alright guys, that's it for me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy. Bye.